On the edge of the shattered galaxy where stars burned cold and silence ruled the void, there was a planet no one dared to name. It was wrapped in storms that never ended and guarded by creatures older than time itself. But deep in the heart of the chaos lived a woman named Luna. Luna was human, though few remembered what that meant anymore. The great human empire had fallen centuries ago, torn apart by war and pride. Only scattered ruins and ghost ships remained as proof they ever existed. Luna had been born on one of those ghost ships, the last child of the last crew raised among broken machines and fading memories. She was 24 years old, with eyes the color of storm clouds and hair so pale it looked silver under alien suns. She did not live alone. Curled beside her in the ruins of an ancient temple was Ember, a dragon, no taller than a large dog but glowing with heat that made the air shimmer. Ember's scales shifted from deep red to gold, depending on her mood and her wings. Though small, were strong enough to carry Luna across canyons of black glass. The two had been together since the crash, the day Luna's ship tore through Zera 7's atmosphere and broke apart like dry bone. No one knew how a human survived that fall, let alone bonded with a dragon. The elves of Zera called it impossible, unnatural. They watched from their floating cities high above the clouds, whispering that the human was cursed or blessed. No one could decide. But Luna did not care about their words. She cared about survival. Every morning before the twin suns rose, she walked the perimeter of their shelter, checking for signs of intruders, scanning the horizon. With a cracked scanner she'd rebuilt from scrap. Ember followed close. Behind her tail, flicking like a warning flame, they had learned to trust only each other. The planet itself was alive in a way humans could not understand. Rivers flowed uphill. Trees sang in the wind, and the ground sometimes pulsed like a slow heartbeat, but the elves claimed it all as theirs. They had ruled Zera 7 for 10,000 years with grace and iron will. Their skin shimmered like polished jade. Their eyes saw truth in every lie, and their magic bent reality to their command. They tolerated Luna only because they feared Ember. But that tolerance was about to endone. Evening, as the sky turned violet with the setting of the second sun, a shadow passed over the ruins. It was not a cloud. It was too sharp, too still. Luna looked up and saw a figure standing on the ridge above them, tall, slender, cloaked in starlight and silence. Princess Nyra, daughter of the Sapphire Throne, heir to the Elven Empire and the most dangerous being on Zera. 7. Luna's hand went to the hilt of her plasma blade. Ember growled low in her throat, smoke curling from her nostrils. "You should not be here, human." Nyra said, her voice like wind through crystal chimes, yet there was steel beneath it. "I live here," Luna replied, not bothering to hide the edge in her voice. "You survive here," Nyra corrected, stepping down the slope with effortless grace. "You do not live, you hide." Ember spread her wings slightly, her body tensing. Luna placed a hand on her neck to calm her, but her eyes never left the princess. "What do you want?" Nyra stopped 10 paces away, her violet eyes studying Luna as if she were a puzzle to be solved. "I came to see if the rumors were true." She said that a human bonded with a storm dragon, that she walks unburned through fire and speaks to the earth itself. Luna said nothing. "They say you healed a dying forest with your tears," Nyra continued. "They say you tamed the sky serpents with a song. They say you are not human at all, but something new." "I am human," Luna said simply. "Just one who refused to die." Nyra smiled. Then not a kind smile, but one that held hunger and something deeper. Something Luna could not name. "Good," she said, "because I need someone who refuses to die." Before Luna could ask what she meant, the ground trembled, a deep groan rising. From the planet's core the air grew heavy. The wind stilled, even the insects fell silent. Ember hissed, her scales flaring bright red. "What is that?" Luna asked. "The heart of Zera is waking," Nyra said, her voice tight with urgency. "For 10,000 years. It has slept, but now it stirs, and if it wakes fully it will burn this world to ash." "Why are you telling me this?" "Because the elves cannot reach it," Nyra said. "Our magic fails at the core. Our bodies cannot survive the heat. But you walk with fire. You breathe where others choke you, and your dragon may be the only ones who can calm it." Luna laughed bitterly. "So now you need me after years of watching me like a stray animal." "I need you not as a servant, but as a partner," Nyra said, stepping closer. "I will give you protection, a place among my people, safety for your dragon." Luna looked down at Ember, who stared back with eyes full of trust and warning. "And if I say nothin', the planet dies," Naira said simply, and with it every living thing on it, including you. Luna was silent, the weight of the choice pressing on her like stone. She had spent years running from the elves, from their rules, their judgment, their pity. But this was not about pride, this was about survival. Not just hers, but everything. "Fine," she said, "but on my terms. Name the member goes with me always. No cages, no chains, no tests. Sagreedy, speak to no one but you." "Agreed, and if we succeed, I leave you, never see me again." Naira hesitated, then nodded. "Agreed." That night they prepared in silence. Luna packed what little she owned: a water purifier, a coil of plasma wire, a locket with a faded picture of her parents. Ember ate 3 roasted sky lizards and coiled around Luna's feet, as if to say she would not be left behind. At dawn, they left the ruins behind and began the journey to the planet's core. The path led through the whispering woods where trees bent to watch them pass their leaves, murmuring secrets in a language Luna almost understood. Ember stayed close, her heat keeping the shadows at bay. Naira walked ahead, silent and focused, her crystal staff glowing faintly with each step. After 2 days they reached the ash plains, a wasteland of black sand and jagged stone where nothing grew, and the air tasted of burnt metal here. The tremors grew stronger, cracks splitting the earth like open wounds. "It is close," Naira said, her voice strained. Luna felt it too, a pull in her chest like a second heartbeat calling to her. They walked for another day until they stood before a mountain that should not exist. It floated 10 feet above the ground, spinning slowly, humming with power, lightning arcing across its surface. "The Heartstone," Naira said. "This is the gateway." "How do we enter?" "You do not enter," Naira said, turning to Luna. "You call it." Luna frowned, but before she could ask what that meant, Ember nudged her forward and something inside her shifted. She closed her eyes and reached out, not with her hands but with her mind, with her soul. And she sang. It was not a song with words, but a feeling, a memory of warmth and loss, of fire and fear, of a little girl alone in the dark and a dragon who found her and stayed. The mountain shuddered, then split open, revealing a tunnel of molten light. Naira stared at Luna with something like awe. "You truly are something new." They stepped inside. The tunnel twisted downward, heat rising with every step, walls pulsing like living flesh. Ember's scales glowed brighter with each breath. Luna's skin prickled with sweat. But she did not stop at the center of the planet. They found it, a sphere of pure energy floating in a cavern of obsidian light, swirling within it like a storm trapped in glass. It pulsed once, and Luna felt her heart skip. "It is angry," Naira whispered. "It feels betrayed." "By who?" "Yes," Naira said, "by the elves. We took its power for centuries, never giving back, only taking it, is exhausted and furious." Luna stepped forward, Ember at her side. "Then we give it back." How Luna did not know, but she knew what to do. She reached into her pocket and pulled out the locket, the only thing she had from her old life. She opened it one last time, looked at the faces of her parents, then dropped it into the sphere. Ember added a scale, a single copper scale that glowed like a dying star. Naira watched, then slowly removed her crystal crown and let it fall. The sphere flared, then calmed the light, softening the hum, deepening into something like peace. The tremors stopped. The planet sighed. They stood in silence for a long time. Then Naira turned to Luna. "You saved us all." "I saved myself," Luna said. "I could not live on a dead world." Naira nodded, but her eyes held something new. "Respect, maybe even friendship. You could stay," she said. "The offer still stands." Luna looked at Ember, who blinked slowly, then turned toward the tunnel. "No," she said, "we have our own path." Naira did not argue, she simply bowed her head. "Then go in peace." Human Luna turned and walked away, the light of the Heartstone fading behind her as she and Ember stepped back into the world above. The storm had passed. The sky was clear, and for the first time in years Luna felt not like a survivor but like someone who belonged somewhere, not among elves or humans or even dragons, but in the space between, where fire and silence met and made something new. They walked toward the rising sun, two souls forged in chaos, bound by choice and ready for whatever came next. Part 1 end. Weeks passed since Luna and Ember left the heart of Zyra 7 behind. The planet had grown quieter, the storms gentler, the rivers ran clear, and the trees bloomed with silver flowers no one had seen before. The elves whispered that the human had done the impossible, but Luna did not stay to hear their praise. She and Ember wandered the wilds far from floating cities and crystal towers, seeking only peace. But peace never lasted long. One evening, as they rested near a lake that reflected the twin moons like shattered glass, Ember lifted her head suddenly, her ears twitching, smoke curling from her nostrils. Luna sat up too, her hand on her blade. She felt it too, a wrongness in the air. A cold spot where warmth should bethen the sky split, open not with lightning but with silence. A ship unlike any she had seen before tore through the atmosphere, black and smooth like polished bone. It made no sound as it landed on the far shore of the lake. No engines, no lights, just stillness. Luna stood, slowly, Ember rising beside her, scales darkening to deep crimson. "Who are they?" she whispered. "Not elves, not human." The ramp of the ship lowered and figures stepped out, tall, thin, wrapped in gray cloaks that seemed to drink the light around them. Their faces were hidden, but Luna felt their eyes on her, cold and empty like the void between star scavengers. The word came from behind her. Luna spun, blade ready. But it was only Naira. The elven princess stood at the edge of the trees, her crystal staff in hand, her expression grim. "You followed us," Luna said. "I did not follow you," Naira replied. "I followed them. They have been hunting your kind for years, my kind humans." Naira said simply, "They believe your blood holds the key to controlling ancient tech like the Heartstone. They raid dead worlds looking for survivors." Luna's stomach twisted. She had thought she was the last. Are there others? Naira hesitated, then nodded. A few scattered across the outer rim, hidden, protected by those who remember what humans once were. But these scavengers, they found one last week. They took her alive. Luna's hands clenched, where Naira pointed to the black ship. "They will take you next if you stay here." Ember growled low and deep, her wings half spread. "Then we stop them," Luna said. Naira's eyes widened. "You cannot fight them. They are not alive, not truly. They are hollow things, machines wearing skin." "I do not care," Luna said. "If they have one of us, I will get her back." Naira studied her for a long moment, then sighed. "Very well, but you will not go alone." Before Luna could argue, Naira raised her staff and the air shimmered around them, light bending like water. 3 elven warriors appeared from the trees, silent and swift, their armor gleaming faintly in the moonlight. "They will guard your back," Naira said. Luna wanted to refuse, but she knew she could not do this alone. "Not against things that wore skin like clothes." "Fine," she said. "But Ember stays with Mealways." Naira agreed. They moved under cover of darkness. The lake mist, wrapping around them like a cloak, the scavenger ship loomed ahead, dark and silent. But Luna could feel the hum of its core, a sickly pulse that made her teeth akimber, led the way, her nose to the ground. Tracking the scent of fear and metal, they found the entrance, a hidden hatch near the base of the ship, guarded by 2 cloaked figures who did not breathe, did not blink. Naira raised a hand. Ice formed in the air, sharp and fast. It struck the guards before they could turn their heads, shattering, like glass where it hit. Inside the ship was worse. Walls pulsed with veins of black fluid. Floors shifted underfoot and the air smelled of rust and old blood. Luna moved quietly, her blade ready, Ember beside her, tail lashing softly. They found the prisoner in the lowest chamber, a young woman no older than Luna, with dark curly hair and eyes wide with terror. She was chained to a table, wires snaking from her arms into a machine that glowed with stolen human energy. Maya. Luna whispered. The name came to her like a memory, though she had never met her. The girl looked up, tears cutting tracks through the grime on her face. "You are real," she whispered. "They said humans were gone." Luna cut the chains with her blade. The machine sparked and died. Ember hissed at the wires as if they were snakes. "We are getting you out," Luna said. But it was too late. Alarms blared, not with sound, but with a pulse that made the walls bleed. The cloaked figures appeared from the shadows, dozens of them moving like puppets on invisible strings. "Run!" Naira shouted. They ran. Maya stumbled, but Luna caught her arm, pulling her along, Ember breathing fire behind them to hold back the tide. Naira and her warriors formed a wall of ice and light, but the scavengers kept coming, their bodies reforming even when cut in half. They reached the surface just as the ship began to rise. "No," Luna gasped. "Yes," Ember rumbled and leapt. The dragon spread her wings and launched into the air. fire bursting from her mouth, not to destroy but to push. The ship off balance, it tilted, then crashed back to the ground with a groan of metal. The scavengers poured out, but this time Luna was ready. She stood between them and the others, blade in hand. Ember at her side, roaring like thunder. "You will not take her," she said. The lead scavenger stepped forward, its cloak falling away to reveal a face stitched together from different skins. Eyes mismatched and dead. "You are weak, human," it said in a voice like grinding stone. "Your kind is dust we will harvest. Your bones and make them singe." Ember attacked. First a blur of fire and claw. The scavenger caught her midair, but Ember twisted and bit down hard on its arm. Black fluid sprayed and the thing screamed. Luna charged, her blade cut through cloaks and flesh alike, but every wound closed almost instantly. She was tiring fast. Then Nira was beside her. Together they fought back to back, human and elf, fire and ice, the warriors holding the flanks. Maya watching from behind a rock, her hands shaking, but her eyes burning with hope. But the scavengers kept coming. "There are too many," Nira gasped. Luna knew she was right. They could not win. Not like this, unless... She looked at Ember, who met her gaze and understood. "Do it," Luna said. Ember nodded, then turned and breathed. Not fire, but pure dragon soul, a golden light that poured from her mouth and filled the air like dawn. The scavengers froze. For the first time they looked afraid. The light touched them, and they began to unravel. Not burn, not break, but fade like old paper in the sun, their stolen skins falling away to reveal the hollow machines beneath. Then those two crumbled into dust. Silence returned. Luna dropped to her knees, breathing hard. Ember collapsed beside her, exhausted but alive. Nira walked over and helped Maya to her feet. "You saved her," Nira said to Luna. "We saved each other," Luna replied. Maya ran to her, then throwing her arms around Luna's neck. "Thank you," she whispered. "I thought I was alone." "You are not," Luna said, pulling back to look at her. "You never were." They returned to the elven city, not as prisoners but as guests. For the first time, Luna walked through the gates without suspicion. Elves bowed their heads, not in fear but in respect. Nira gave them rooms in the highest tower with windows that looked out over the whole world. That night, Luna stood on the balcony watching the stars. Maya beside her, Ember curled at their feet. "Do you think there are more of us out there?" Maya asked. Luna nodded. "And we will find them." But how? Luna smiled faintly. "We start with the ruins of the old fleet, the ones that fell near the Nebula of Tears." "I remember the coordinates." Maya's eyes lit up. "You were on a ship, the last one," Luna said. "But maybe not the last survivor." They talked long into the night, sharing stories of lost families, broken worlds, and small acts of courage. Ember listened, her eyes half closed but her ears twitching at every word. In the morning, Nira came to them. "I have arranged a ship," she said, "small, fast, and armed. It will take you where you need to go." Luna was surprised. "You are letting us leave. You are not prisoners." Nira said, "You are allies and friends." Luna did not know what to say, so she simply nodded. "Thank you." Before they left, Nira gave Luna a gift. A small crystal that glowed faintly with the same light as the Heartstone. "If you are ever in danger," she said, "break it. I will come." Luna tucked it into her pocket next to the empty locket. They boarded the ship, Maya wide-eyed at the controls, Ember curling up in the co-pilot's seat as if she belonged there. As the ship rose into the sky, Luna looked down at the world that had tried to kill her, then saved her, then changed her goodbye. "Zyra 7, she whispered. The ship shot into the stars. Ahead of them lay the ruins of a dead empire and the hope of a new one, not built on power or pride but on bonds between lost souls who refused to die alone. Maya sat beside her, hand on the console. Where to first? Luna pointed to a blinking star on the map. Their Ember rumbled in agreement. And together, they flew into the unknown, not as the last humans but as the first of something new. Part 2 end. The ship hummed softly as it cut through the dark between stars. Luna sat in the pilot's seat, her eyes fixed on the star map glowing faintly on the screen ahead. Maya slept in the back, curled under a thermal blanket. Ember lay across the co-pilot's chair, her tail twitching in dreams of fire and flight. They were heading for the Nebula of Tears, a place humans once called home before the Empire fell. Now, it was a graveyard of broken hulls and silent comms. But Luna remembered stories her mother Used to tell about a hidden station there, a last refuge built in secret before the final war. If anyone survived, they would be there. 3 days into the journey, the ship's sensors pinged. Luna sat up straight. Ember opened one golden eye. "What is it?" Maya asked, rubbing her eyes. A signal, she said, faint but real human origin. They changed course following the signal deeper into the debris field. Twisted metal and shattered glass floated past the viewport, like ghosts of a lost age. Then they saw it, a small pod no bigger than a room, its hull scorched, but intact. Luna brought the ship alongside and opened the airlock. Inside they found a man. He was older, with gray in his beard and a scar across his left eye, but his uniform, though torn, was unmistakably human fleet issue. He woke slowly, blinking up at them with eyes full of disbelief. "You are real," he whispered. "So are you," Luna said, helping him sit. This name was Dale, and he had been drifting for 6 months after his research vessel was attacked by scavengers. He was the only one who made it to the podi. "Tried to send a distress call," he said, "but no one ever answers." "We heard you," Luna said. They brought him aboard, fed him real food, not rations, and let him rest. Ember watched him carefully at first, but when he reached out a hand and spoke softly to her in old fleet tongue, she allowed him to touch her snout. The new dragons, too. Back in the early days, he explained, some humans tried to bond with them like the elves, but most failed. Only a few ever succeeded, and those were lost in the war. Luna looked at Ember, who blinked slowly as if remembering something ancient. The signal led them to more than just Dale. Deep in the nebula, hidden behind a curtain of ion storms, was a station shaped like a ring. Its lights, still on its engines, still warm. The Last Hope, that was its name, painted in faded letters on the hull. They docked with care weapons ready. But the airlock opened without resistance. Inside, the station was quiet, but not empty. Figures moved in the corridors. Not scavengers, not machines, but humans. Men and women in patched uniforms, their eyes wary but alive. A woman stepped forward, tall, with short black hair and a rifle slung over her shoulder. "Who are you?" she asked. Voice rough but not unkind. Luna stepped ahead, Ember at her side. "Luna," she said, "and this is Ember. We found Dale in a pod. We followed his signal." The woman studied them. Then her eyes fell on Ember. "A dragon," she said softly. "No one has seen one of those in 50 years. She introduced herself as Terra, commander of the Last Hope station. They had 200 souls here, all that remained of the outer colonies, survivors of raids, disease, and time. "You are welcome here," she said, "but we do not have much." "We do not need much," Luna replied. "Just a place to stand." They stayed. Days turned into weeks. Luna helped repair the station's shields. Maya taught children how to read old Earth books. Dale worked with engineers to boost the comms array, and Ember became something of a legend. The children left her gifts of shiny metal and soft cloth, and she let them braid flowers into her scales. But peace never lasted. One night the alarms blared. Scavenger ships, not one but 5, black and silent, cutting through the ion storm like knives. "So did they find us?" Terra demanded. Dale looked pale. "Me pod," he whispered. "They must have tracked its signal. It is not your fault," Luna said. "But we have to fight." They gathered in the command center, maps and weapons spread across the table. "We cannot win a direct fight," Terra said. "Then we do not fight directly," Luna replied. She had a plan. The station had an old defense system powered by a core of unstable plasma. If they overloaded it just right, it would create a pulse strong enough to knock out the scavenger ships. But it would also destroy the station. "You want us to blow up our home?" Terra asked. "Only the core," Luna said. "We evacuate to the lower levels, seal them off. The pulse will fry their systems long enough for us to escape and go where." Luna looked at Ember. "We have a friend." She activated the crystal Nira had given her. It shattered in her hand, and a light shot into the sky. Hours passed as they prepared the evacuation. Children were led to safe rooms. Adults armed themselves with whatever they could find. Ember paced the corridors, her heat rising with every passing minute. Then the scavengers boarded. They came through the upper decks, silent and relentless. But the humans were ready. Traps of fire and acid slowed them down. Luna and Terra fought side by side, blades and bullets against hollow skin and dead eyes in the core chamber. Dale worked frantically, wiring the overload sequence. Almost ready. He shouted over the din. Luna held the door with Ember at her back, fire pouring from the dragon's mouth, melting. The floor where scavengers stepped now, Dale yelled. Luna grabbed Ember and ran. The explosion was silent but bright. A wave of white light rushing through the station. The scavengers froze, then collapsed, their stolen skins crumbling to dust. The humans cheered, but there was no time to celebrate. The station was breaking apart. They fled to the escape bays, launching shuttles into the void just as the ring cracked in two. In the distance, a new light appeared. A fleet of elven ships led by Nira herself had come. The elves took them aboard not as refugees but as honored guests. Nira greeted Luna with a rare smile. You called, you came. Of course. They stood on the bridge of Nira's flagship, watching the remains of the last hope drift into the nebula. What? Now, Terra asked. Now we rebuild. Luna said, not in one place, she added, but everywhere. With the elves' help, they began a new mission. Not to hide, but to find every last human scattered across the stars, to bring them together. Not as an empire, but as a family. Maya worked with elven healers, learning their ways. Dale helped design new ships that ran on dragonfire and starlight. Terra trained elven warriors in human tactics, and Luna became something new. A bridge between worlds. Ember never left her side. Months later, they found another group on a frozen moon, then another in the rings of a gas giant. Each time Luna would land, step out with Ember beside her and say the same words, you are not alone. And each time the survivors would weep. The scavengers did not stop. They grew bolder, angrier, but so did the humans and their allies. One night, as Luna stood on the observation deck watching a new station rise from the ashes of the old Naira, joined her. You have given them hope. Naira said. They gave it to me, Luna replied. Ember curled around her feet, purring like thunder. Do you ever miss your old life? Naira asked. Luna thought of the ghost ship, the cold dark, the silence. No, she said, this is better, because you are not alone, because we choose each other. Naira nodded, then placed a hand on Luna's shoulder. You are one of us now. Luna smiled. And you are one of us. In the stars above, new lights blinked to life. Not of war, but of welcome humans. Elves and even a few dragons flying together toward a future. No, one thought possible. The last were becoming the first, and the story was only beginning. Part 3 End. The new alliance grew like a vine through the stars. Human outposts bloomed on forgotten moons. Elven ships patrolled the edges of known space, and Ember's kind, once thought extinct, began to return from hidden valleys and deep caves, drawn by the bond they sensed between Luna and her dragon. But not all welcomed this change. In the dark beyond the outer rim, where light dared not linger, something older than the scavengers stirred. It had watched the rise of empires and their fall. It had slept through wars and waded through silence, and now it woke hungry. Its name was not spoken aloud. Those who tried forgot it within seconds, but the elves called it the Hollow King, and the few human records that survived called it the Enderit. It was not a machine, not a beast, but a void given will, a thing that fed on hope and left only silence in its wake. Luna felt it first in her dreams. She stood on a world of glass beneath a black sun, and everything was still. No wind, no sound, not even her own breath. Ember was gone. The stars were gone, and in the distance a shape moved toward her, slow and certain. She woke, gasping. Ember's head lifting instantly, her eyes glowing in the dark. You felt it too, Luna whispered. The dragon rumbled low, a sound Luna had never heard before, not anger, not fear, but warning. The next morning she went to Naira. Something is coming, she said. Naira was in the war room studying star charts when Luna entered. She looked up and saw the truth in Luna's eyes. The Hollow King, Naira said softly. You know of it. The oldest fear in elven memory, she replied. It does not conquer, it consumes it, takes what you love and leaves you empty. How do we stop it? We do not. Naira said we survive it, but Luna shook her head. No, we fight. It. Before Naira could argue, alarms rang through the ship. Human scout vessel had gone dark near the ash belt. They went at once, Luna, Maya, Dale, and Terra aboard Naira's fastest cruiser, Ember, riding on the hull. Her claws dug into the metal like she could sense the danger ahead. When they arrived, the scout ship hung in space, its hull intact but cold, no lights, no signals, no life. They boarded with weapons drawn. Inside the ship was clean. No blood, no damage. But every human was gone. Their uniforms, still on their boots, still laced as if they had simply vanished. Maya touched a cup on the table. Still warm, where are they? Luna asked. Ember sniffed the air, then let out a sharp hiss, backing away from the center of the room. There, she said, pointing, with her snout. On the floor was a symbol burned into the metal, a circle with a line through it. The mark of the Hollow King, it was here, Luna whispered, and it will be back. They returned to the Alliance base, a ring station built between two elven worlds, and shared what they found. Fear spread like smoke, but Luna would not let it take root. We will not hide, she told the council of humans and elves gathered in the Great Hall. We will not wait. We will find it before it finds us, Hodale asked. The old records, Maya said suddenly. I found something in the archive, a place called the Mirror Vault. It was built by the first humans and elves together to trap something they could not kill. Nira's eyes widened. That is legend. Maybe not, Luna said. Show me, Maya. Led them to a hidden chamber deep in the station's core. There, on a dusty screen, was a map. A single blinking point far beyond the edge of the charted galaxy. The Mirror Vault, it was real. Preparations began at once. The best ship was readied. Weapons, loaded supplies packed. Ember refused to stay behind. She stood on the ramp until Luna nodded. You are coming, of course. The crew was small but strong. Luna at the helm. Maya on comms, Dale on systems, Tara on defense, and Naira herself insisting she would not let Luna face this alone. They jumped through 3 wormholes, each one darker than the last, until they reached a place where stars did not shine. A black planet hung in the void, its surface smooth like glass, reflecting nothing. The vault. They landed. In silence, the air thick and heavy like walking through water. Ember stayed close, her heat. The only warmth in the endless cold. The entrance was a door of fused bone and metal, covered in the same symbol they had seen on the scout ship. Luna placed her hand on it. It opened. Inside was not a room but a maze, walls shifting like living things. Floors that dropped without warning. Shadows that moved when no one was there. They moved as one ember, lighting the way with soft fire. Maya reading the old symbols on the walls, Dale disabling traps with steady hands, Tara watching their backs, and Naira weaving shields of light around them. At the center of the maze, they found it a chamber with a single pedestal, and on it a mirror black as night. This is it. Maya whispered the trap, but where is the king? As if in answer, the mirror rippled. A figure stepped out. It looked like Luna, but wrong. Its eyes empty, its smile too wide. Hello, little flame, it said in her voice. Ember roared and lunged, but the thing raised. A hand in the dragon froze mid-air, suspended in air like a statueno. Luna cried, you cannot save them. The thing said, turning to her, you never could. It waved a hand and the others froze too. Naira, Tara, Maya, Dale, all still as stone. Now it is just us. What? Do you want what all things want? The Hollow King said, to be whole you have what I need. A heart that still beats, a soul that still fights. Give it to me, and I will let them live. Luna looked at her friends, frozen in fear and fury. Never the king sighed, then watched them fade one by one. Their color drained, their forms growing pale like old photographs. Luna felt something inside her break, but then she remembered the heartstone, the locket, the bond with Ember, the hands that had held hers in the dark. She was not alone. She stepped toward the mirror. Not with fear, but with fire. You think you can take my heart, she said, but you do not understand. It is not mine to give. It belongs to them. And she reached not for her blade, but for the mirror. Her hand touched the glass, and the world exploded in light. Not fire, not ice, but pure feeling. Every memory, every tear, every laugh, every moment of love and loss poured from her into the mirror. The Hollow King screamed it was not ready for this, not for real feeling, not for a heart that chose to give instead of hide. The mirror cracked. The king's form twisted, then shattered like glass. The others fell to the floor. Gasping, Ember shook herself free and leapt to Luna's side. You did it, Maya whispered. Luna sank to her knees, exhausted but smiling. We did it. The mirror turned to dust. The maze collapsed around them, but they ran laughing, crying, holding each other as the vault fell into the planet's core. They made it to the ship just in time. As they flew away, the black planet cracked, then imploded, leaving only empty space behind. Back at the Alliance station, they were greeted as heroes, but Luna did not feel like one. She stood on the observation deck later that night, Ember beside her. You changed something, Nira said, joining her. How you showed us that the strongest weapon is not fire or magic, but love. Luna looked at her friends through the glass. Maya teaching children to plant seeds in hydroponic gardens, Dale fixing a broken toy for a little girl, Tara sparring with elven warriors, laughing as she won. Maybe she said. Ember nudged her hand. You are tired. The dragon sent through their bondies, but Happy Ember purred. In the weeks that followed, more humans came. More dragons appeared, even a few scavengers, laid down their hollow skins and asked for forgiveness. The alliance was no longer just a hope. It was home. And Luna finally understood she was not the last human. She was the first of something new. A bridge, a spark, a beginning. And as long as she had Ember by her side and friends who chose to stand with her, the light would never go out. Part 4 end. Peace settled over the alliance like morning mist, soft and warm. But Luna knew better than to trust quiet for too long. She had seen too many calm days end in fire still for the first time in her life. She let herself rest. Ember slept curled around, her feet on the sunlit deck of the new station orbiting a green world they called Haven. Maya tended gardens on the lower levels where real soil grew, real food. Tara trained a new guard made of humans, elves, and even a few young dragons who learned to fly in formation. Dale worked with Naira's scholars to translate ancient texts and piece together the lost history of both their peoples. But Luna felt it again. Not the hollow king that darkness was gone, shattered by her light, but something else. A whisper at the edge of her mind, a pull she could not explain. It came in dreams, not of emptiness this time, but of voices calling from far away. Not in fear, but in song. One night, she woke with Ember already standing alert, her ears pointed toward the stars. You hear it too? Luna asked. Ember nodded, her golden eyes reflecting the twin moons of Haven. The next morning, Luna went to Naira. Have to go, she said. Where? Beyond the rim, past the dead zones where no ship has gone in centuries. Why? Because they are calling. Naira did not argue. She had learned long ago that Luna's instincts were not just feelings, they were truth. Sci will ready a ship, not yours. Luna said, this is not a war. This is a journey. Then take the Sky Dancer. Naira said, the fastest and lightest we have. They prepared in secret. Only Maya and Dale knew. Ember refused to be left behind, and no one dared argue with a dragon who fixed them with a steady stare. The Sky Dancer was small, sleek, built for speed, not battle. Its hull shimmered like dawn, and its engine hummed with elven grace. They left at first light as the station shrank behind them. Luna felt the pull grow stronger. Not in her ears, but in her bones. Days passed in quiet. The ship gliding through empty space where even the stars seemed to hold their breath. Then they entered a region the charts called the Veil, a place where sensors failed and comms went silent. Here the dream voices grew clear. Not words, but feelings. Images of tall trees with silver leaves, mountains that sang, and rivers that flowed upward into the sky, and dragons. Not like Ember, but larger, older. Their scales like starlight, their wings wide enough to shade a city. Are they real? Luna asked Ember. The dragon tilted her head as if listening to a song. Only she could hear. Yes, she sent through their bond. But not as we are. On the 5th day they saw it. A world hidden behind a curtain of light so bright it hurt to look at directly. The planet spun slowly, its surface covered in forests and peaks, and, in the center, a great spire that reached into the clouds. They landed in a clearing, the grass soft underfoot, the air sweet with the scent of blooming night flowers. No one came to greet them. But they were not alone. From the trees they emerged. Tall beings, with skin like moonstone and eyes that held galaxies within them. They moved without sound, their robes woven from living vines and starlight. And beside them walked dragons, not ridden, not tamed, but walking as equal. One of the beings stepped forward, her face kind, her voice like wind through ancient trees. You have come at last, child of fire and storm. Who are you? Luna asked, hand resting on Ember's neck. We are the keepers, she said. The first who heard the dragons sing and learned to listen. We left the wars behind long ago to guard what remains of the old harmony. Why call me? Because the bond you share with your dragon is rare but not unique. It is the seed of what once was and what can be. Again, they led Luna and her friends to the spire. Inside it was hollow, filled with light that came from no source yet warmed like sun. Here they showed them the truth, images formed in the air, showing a time before elves, before humans, when dragons ruled the stars. Not with fire, but with wisdom they chose companions from among the young races, not as masters, but as partners together. They built wonders that sang with life. But pride grew, fear spread, and the bond was broken. The dragons withdrew, the humans fell. The elves turned inward, and the song faded. "You have begun to sing again," the keeper said, looking at Luna and Ember. "What do you want from us, not want?" She replied only to offer a choice: stay and learn, or return and teach. Luna looked at Maya, who was touching a glowing vine, with wonder at Dale, who scribbled notes with shaking hands, at Ember, who stood tall beside her, eyes bright with recognition. How long would we stay? As long as it takes. Luna knew what that meant. Years, maybe decades, but she also knew the Alliance needed more than weapons. It needed roots. We stay. The days that followed were unlike any Luna had known. She learned to speak without words, to feel the pulse of the world beneath her feet, to listen to the wind as it carried stories from distant stars. Ember grew stronger, her fire turning to light her wings, learning to ride currents no ship could follow. Maya studied the living gardens, learning how to grow food that healed as well as fed. Dale worked with the keepers to build machines that ran on song, not power, and Ember spent hours with the elder dragons, learning the old ways. Luna missed the Alliance, missed Naira and Terra and the children who left flowers on her door, but she knew this was not escape. It was preparation. One evening, as she sat on the spire's edge, watching the twin suns set, the keeper joined her. "You think of them. Yes, you fear they will forget you." "No," Luna said, "I fear I will forget how much they need me." "You will not." The keeper said, "The bond you carry is not just with your dragon, but with all who call you friend. It does not fade with distance, it grows." Luna smiled. "Tell me about the song." The keeper closed her eyes and began to hum. It was not a tune, but a feeling, a thread of light that connected every living thing. Luna felt it in her chest, warm and steady. "This is what you must take back," she said. "Not a weapon, not a rule, but a song." When the time came to leave, the keepers did not say goodbye. They simply bowed their heads and stepped back into the trees. The sky dancer waited its hull, now etched with silver vines that glowed faintly with the same light as the spire as they lifted off. Ember let out a roar, not of warning, but of joy. The elder dragons answered from the mountains, their voices shaking the stars back at Haven. The station buzzed with worry. Nira stood on the command deck, her eyes fixed on the empty sky. Then the sensors pinged, a ship not dark, not silent, but bright. The sky dancer emerged from the veil, its hull alive with light. They rushed to the landing bay. When the ramp lowered, Luna stepped out, not changed, but deepened, her eyes holding calm where once there was only fire. Ember beside her, larger, now her scales shimmering with starlight. "You came back," Nira said, relief in her voice. "We did," Luna replied, "and we brought a gift that night in the Great Hall." Luna stood before the Alliance, humans, elves, dragons, and even a few former scavengers who had found new purpose. She did not speak of war or power. She sang not with her voice but with her heart. The song the keepers had taught her. Light filled the room, not blinding but warm, wrapping around each person like a promise. Maya wept. Terra smiled. Dale closed his eyes, and for the first time in centuries, the dragons in the room lifted their heads and joined the song. Nira watched Luna and understood. This was not the end of a journey. It was the birth of a new world. In the weeks that followed, the song spread not through words but through touch, through shared meals, through children playing together under twin suns. The Alliance did not grow by conquest but by connection, and Luna finally knew her place, not as a warrior, not as a leader, but as a bridge, a human woman with a dragon at her side, walking between worlds and weaving them together with a song older than time. Ember nudged her one evening as they stood on the deck watching new ships arrive from distant stars. "You are home." The dragon scent. Luna leaned against her warm scales. "Yes," she whispered, "we all are." And the stars above burned a little brighter. Part 5 end.